What's going on, people? I'm thebrokenpuppet, and today's going to be a fun one. We're going to do a Grim Reaper design, make him really cool, and then we're going to send him on holiday, make a very different version of him. So it's going to be a really fun one. So again, this is on Procreate as it normally is. You can do this on paper with pen, markers, whatever you want. Just follow along and do it on there. You know, there's no special kind of tricks. It's all very easy to translate, so don't worry about that. So I'm just going to come here. I'm going to go to sketching. I'm going to select technical pencil, which I normally start off with. I'm going to create a bunch of layers here. We're going to have this one as sketch 1, this one as sketch 2, this one's going to be our color layer, this one's going to be our shading layer, and lastly this one is going to be our lining layer. Just a nice, really easy way to set up. So we're going to sketch, refine it, turn transparency down, go over the top, and then start detailing. So make sure you're down here at the bottom on sketching 2, technical pencil. And I'm going to select me a nice dark red, just like so. So let's start it, shall we? So I'm going to start off with a circle. This is going to be roughly where his head's going to go. And that's going to be a little line just like this, curving down. And just underneath it, so like, you know, I'm not sure there's a little gap between the head, this circle here, and this line. But for this guy, this is going to be roughly where his shoulders go. So I'm going to bring this line across here. Line across here. So this could be like the line for the arm. Kind of make like a little armature in a way for him. And I'm going to have this arm go here, this one go here, and they're going to be holding his scythe, which is kind of going to curve around this way, I think. Yeah, I like that. It's got a nice little layout to it. Just going to create a little box just here, a little box just here. Just going to where his hands are going to go. And then a little kind of sort of curve just around the bottom. Nothing crazy, just kind of sort of like tell me where he's kind of going to end roughly. And yeah, this is basically the rough kind of structure. So you can see you kind of got his arms here. And just make sure this line here is roughly around the same one as this one here. I mean, this can be a little bit shorter if his arms are a bit more of an angle. But yeah, you can put it like that. Remember the kind of angles were, so you can have like a shoulder a bit higher if you want. This shoulder can be higher, this one can be lower, or you can have nice and even. Depends on what kind of angle you want it, you know, like to be in. Sometimes I think the best thing to do is just look in the mirror, kind of pose yourself, kind of how you want it to be, and just look. So, okay, this shoulder's a little bit higher than this one, this arm's a bit lower, this elbow's a bit higher, yada yada, you know what I mean, like that. But yeah, now we've got that, let's just start sketching in some little bits for it, shall we? So this is going to be the heads. So I'm going to create a little line, just curving down here, and a little line there. Just like a little grid, so I've got a little cross just there, so in the centre and there. We know it's going to be the heads. And now it's going to create a bit of a loop around the head like so. Now we know this is going to be like roughly where the head goes. And the head's going to come back. And classic Grim Reaper, going to want that little kind of curve at the back. So just create a little sort of triangle kind of curve off the back just here. So I've got this kind of little curve just here. Create a little loop around that kind of head maybe. And another little one just there. Just so we've got a little sense of like volume to the hood. So the curve around and the curve there. Don't worry about detail like the face. No detail in a minute. We're just kind of building up his structure. So now we've got this. I'm going to create this little curve just off here. And this is where his arm's going to be. Or like the bone of his arm. So we're going to want to create this sort of teardrop shape around it. It's going to be where his sleeve is kind of dangling down. You know, it's really important and it's a nice little feature. And it's going to be on both arms. So we want that around here. And this one around here. And now one of the important things here, which is really handy, you want to make sure that these don't kind of feel exactly the same kind of positioning. So you see this one's kind of a little bit higher up here, this one's going to be a little bit lower. I'm going to make sure this one comes down a little bit lower than this one. It just helps the scaling. If everything's kind of feeling on the exact same level, it feels a bit computerized, a bit mechanical, and it doesn't have a sense of flow. We kind of want that nice curvature to the things, and that kind of means everything's going to have its own kind of like positioning. So once we've got that, I'm just going to create a little curve just here where this arm's obviously going to curve into. This one's obviously going to curve up around there. And then around the bottom of his clothes is going to be like, you know, it's all going to be sort of torn up. So I'm just going to create this kind of sort of random kind of zigzag around the bottom, like so. So I'm liking this. I'm just going to move him into the center, like so. So see, now we've got like a really nice kind of sort of structure to him. So now we've got that, we can start kind of like defining him a little bit more. So I don't want to go into our second one yet. I want to put a few little details in before we start really defining all the details. So I'm going to just start marking in some details. So on the face. We're going to go circle, we're going to go circle. And now where you got this line in between, remember, you're going to have one circle on one side, and the other's going to fit in that gap on the other side. We're going to have like a sort of triangular sort of circle in the center, like so. And then I'm going to create a little line that's going to come across here, and a box sort of shape underneath. On the side, I'm going to create a little curve, and a little curve there. And then just on the outside of this circle here, just a little curve up. And that's kind of all we need as a guideline. So you can see if I zoom in there, you can kind of see. So we have a circle here, and it's kind of going on this line, a circle here on this one, a little triangle in that center bit, and I'm just going to create a line about halfway through, create a box shape on that bottom bit, so you can have that bottom jaw, and then just create a curve off, and a curve off. You don't really need to create one here because it's not going to fit this kind of angled ahead. So now we've got that done. Where we've got this little box for the hands, we're just going to go 1, 2, 3. So you basically have 4 rectangles now, which is going to be the 4 fingers. And on the outside, we're going to create a long little box just here where the thumb's going to be. So which way around that's going to be? 1 sec. So he's holding it that way. Yeah, right way around. Had to double check there. And again, 1, 2, 3. Box on the outside. Real simple, just really nice way of doing it. And now depending on where the hand is, sometimes I like to make another little box just on the outside here, like so. It just kind of gives the outside part of the hands just here. And then this arm, I'm basically just going to make this into like one big sort of chunk like this. And there. So now we've got that, I feel like we have enough details to start refining and putting our main stuff in there. So let's turn our sketch down and come on to sketch 2. So that turn is usually down to about 40%. So you just click on it, on the opacity, just drag it down. And now go on to sketch 2. So now we can really start defining the bits we want. So I'm going to come to the nose now. I'm going to curve around and just on this bottom part, I'm just going to create this little loop just in here. So it's going to bump up just a little bit. Just like that. Nothing crazy. I don't want no dramatic kind of shapes and anything like that. Just a nice simple structure to it. Now where we've got this circle here, I basically want to curve a line in like this. And I just want to make the outside edge a bit kind of wonky. You know, it's one of the few times I make an exception to like weirdly shaped things, but it just works with the skull's eye. Like nothing too crazy wonky, but just a little bit kind of off. You don't want to be a dead circle. I mean, it will still look okay as a dead circle, but I just prefer it not to be. So now I'm just going to line in the center there. And a few different ways you can do the teeth. You can literally do the teeth as just straight lines like this if you want, which always looks pretty cool. You can create some loops for the teeth, like so, which I quite like. And yeah, we can do like a mixture of the both. You can have it kind of under, you know, you can go more detailed if you want and stuff, have missing teeth and that, but I think generally I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, and just create a little loop around these. Don't worry about getting the exact amount of teeth, you just want enough to kind of fill the space really. You know, if you're going too realistic, it's just not going to work. So again, I'll just kind of create this little curve that just goes there. That line can go there. And this one's just going to loop out here, go around this eye, and then I'm just going to bring this curve back for the skull, like so. You know where you got the jaw? Now the jaw can be quite simple. You can kind of bring the jaw back like so. Create a little line, like a very simple kind of sort of jawline. Absolutely nothing wrong with that. I don't know what it's about saying about old school ones. I like to make the jaw kind of point out a little bit, which is, I don't know. It's just a certain kind of style of one. I just seem to love the effect. I don't know why. So I make a bit of a wobbly kind of sort of jaw and kind of come out to a point. Now maybe just go back a tiny little bit. A bit too pointy. But I don't know. I just quite like doing it. But play around with the ones you kind of want to do and see how it kind of looks for you. So now we've got that, we've kind of got the base kind of skull bit in there. So now we've got the skull in there, let's kind of get his hood part in here. So we're going to create that line coming around like so. Now what I like to do on this outside line here is create a curve this one down. And then rather than kind of like making this a perfect kind of hood, Now, so I want this hood to kind of connect with this part here. If we make this kind of perfect line around here and it sits separately, this can feel separate, which I don't want. So this line's going to curve here, and I'm going to make the separation in here, but through here, this part just here. So you see, you've got this space just here, which is inside, and this space here, which is inside. But it fits nicely within the shape. Now I'm going to create this little loop just here. Secondary loop just there. A little point just here. This can kind of curve around like so. I'm going to have his shoulder kind of on this point just here, so don't worry too much about kind of as it goes there, because it's kind of tucking over the shoulder. But just like this nice kind of flowy shape to the hood. So I feel like the next part here is best part. It's going to go from this part here, and then we can work our way up around. So we're going to do a similar kind of thing here. So I'm going to create this curve around like this. And I'm going to create this loop here. And then I'm going to create a nice big circular part around the edge. Another one around the edge to kind of bulk it out a little bit. And bring this down. And very much like the bottom, we want this kind of bottom to be a bit tattered. So we're going to create a few little points just like so. Another little loop just there. And then we kind of bring this up towards the arm. So we're going to bring this here, and then we can curve this up around and decide what we want to this part. So you want lines, but you don't want too many lines sometimes. It's very easy to go overboard and create too many edges. So just put them in there and just work out if there's any you want to take away. But I'm quite liking that. It's looking pretty good. So now I'm going to bring in his arm. So the arm has 2 bones there, so I'm just going to create 2 separate little lines like that. So you're going to get the idea of 2 bones. And I'm not going to go super realistic with the skeleton for the hand. Very important to understand that. You know, a lot of people make a mistake of trying to make it like really like lifelike. No. We're literally just going to go like 4 kind of rectangles just here. Make the shape slightly varying just a little bit if you want to. This part here is pretty much just going to be like a block. So I said, if it was realistic, that'd be all that little crazy kind of detail and stuff on there, which we just don't need. And then the thumb bone, just like that. You know, it does the trick. You know, you don't want it to be too, you know, it's all about kind of stripping it back and making it kind of just what it needs really to look right. Now, if you overwork it and over detail it, it just looks too kind of complex, and you lose a bit of the kind of fun side of it. It's going to do the exact same here for this part. So that's going to go there for that hand. And then we're going to do the same thing now. So I'm just going to bring in this curve around like so. And kind of loop in there. Just create a little zigzag bit for the bottom. I'm going to create this little loop now, just kind of coming around like this. Maybe it's another little loop. So just trying to give it a nice, fun kind of shape. You know, just whenever you kind of need to bring a little line in, you can. Yeah, I'm liking that. And then again, remember we've got 2 bones, so it's going to bring in 3 lines. Just kind of make up the sense of that bone. And now before I put the siphon there, I just want to get the bottom part of his clove here. Which I just feel like it just works a little bit better, you know, because the problem is if you put a siphon there, you feel like you're kind of working around it too much and you lose a sense of that body shape very easily. So yeah, we're just going to overlap here. So now we're done. Like, remember, this siphon is going to be like this S curve, so you can have this bend. Really important. So we're going to go like this. Put this up like this. And then what I like to do is just put like a little bit of an X at this point just here. Excuse me. Create our blade curve. Like so. Little line just down the centre. Now it's like this little sort of triangle kind of diamond bit coming out the other side just over there. So now we've got the initial sketch work done here. Let's start putting some lines and we can sort of detail it and shade it. And then once we've got that, we're going to send them on a lay. So, let's turn off the initial sketch, turn that second one down a little bit, and go up to your lining now. It's going to go black. To make this easy for you guys, I'm just going to go down to calligraphy and monoline. This comes standard with Procreate, so you guys can use this. It's the one you guys are familiar with me using, so it's really simple. So now just make sure you're on your lining layer, and now we're going over it and make some lines. Now remember, I go quick, so you don't have to go as quick as I do. No, like it's not a race, just take your time. Let's get these lines in here nice and smooth. And try to keep your lines nice and smooth. That really is one of the keys to traditional, like good, consistent, nice line work. Especially more like modern traditional. You know, I'm really a fan of that kind of clean cut kind of style. Now, if you want to make it more kind of retro, you can sort of make your line work a bit more dirty. But in my opinion, it's just, I don't know, I just prefer it like this. I'm just going to keep curving them around. And sometimes the speed helps, you know, sometimes like putting a nice clean line, the bit of speed behind the hand can help. Just remember that only translates when you're doing the designing though. You know, you're not going to be able to like whip a line like that when tattooing. Keep it going in there, and it comes together really quickly. You know, like once you really kind of got the guide in there, you kind of know what you're doing. And by this stage, you've already drawn it a couple of times, so it's, muscle memory starts kicking a little bit. Now again, I am just kind of drawing over where the scythe bit is, and I will just erase that bit before I do the scythe. It just makes things a bit easier. I don't know, something about these kind of sort of simple traditional skeleton hands I've always been a fan of. Just got that like that. So just loop that around just that. Bring that there. Just getting that kind of jagged edge kind of effect we need. And try to make sure your line work kind of connects up. You know, if you have little loose lines, when it comes to colouring, it's going to make things a little bit slower. So I'm going to use the selection tool, which just speeds things up. But you can't really do that if there's gaps in your line work. Cool, that's looking good. So just speed up, I'm just going to create a second layer just here. And I'm going to get that scythe in here. So we're going to go swoosh, swoosh. Going to cover that top part just there. Join that up just there. Just get that little X in there we mentioned before. So we've got that in there now. So what we're going to do, click on the selection tool, click on the outside of it and just click invert. It's going to select inside that line work. Literally just go on your line work now just select a fairly decent sized brush, and when you erase it, bear with me, erase the parts that are over the top, not under the bottom. So you see here, those lines would be underneath the scythe. The hands would be the other way around though, so go back to our top layer and erase the bit that goes underneath the hands. It's all about the kind of layers and the heights. At this point you can just turn it off for that, makes it a bit easier. Just like that, and like that. And then once we got that, just turn off the sketching layer. So now we got our skeleton. Just going to merge those two there, and I'm just going to erase a little line out that's bugging me. Just there. So now we have that, we can put in little thin line details that we want. Now you don't often have too many of these, but it's going to be just a couple. So I'm going to go inside the scythe, like to have a thinner line just down the centre. Nothing crazy. And just erase that little line just there, and just join up there. So shrink this down nice. I like to put like a little kind of wood texture in here. Get it as small as I can. So I'm going to go to inking technical pen just for this bit. Just allows you to get the little line a bit thinner. And to get the wood effect, I'm literally just going to create these like wiggly lines pretty much. There's nothing special about them, they're literally just wiggly lines, just going from the top to the bottom. And it is the easiest way to give a little bit of wood texture, just like so. So now we have that, we have our line work. So click on your line work and click reference. So now when we use this selection tool up here, it will select from that layer. So you see I click here, it's going to select everything within those lines. Just click and drag and make sure the selection threshold is in the high 90s. So just click and drag to adjust that, okay? If it's a bit low, you're going to get little white speckly edges. If it's up high, you're not going to get that. That simple. So I'm going to use like my favourite tool, so I'm going to go spray painting now, medium nozzle on our shading layer. So let's start shading, shall we? So I'm going to select here and here just to begin with. Let's start shading in the hood. So what I'm going to do is going to come from the bottom. Well, from the top, I'm going to leave like a little white edge across the top. And just come across like this. And then it's going to click hard and hold on the eraser. So it makes the same paintbrush as the eraser. And then just erase when it goes overlaps on the line. And then it's going to start again on the next part just there, and then again just over there where it goes over the lap. It just allows you to easily keep getting that quick white edge, which is really, really important when it comes to this kind of sort of traditional kind of style. You know, it's a nice quick hard transition between the tones. And just going to remember the order, because it's usually on the one that goes on the upper edge just here. So if I was to shade this part just here, and sometimes the easy way to do it is click on here and just turn the transparency down a touch, just so you can see the line work, and then you know kind of how far to erase. Because obviously if you erase too far, you erase on the other side of it, which you don't want. So just do that, then do that to kind of get your white edge, and then erase anywhere that kind of goes over the line that we want to keep. Like so. It's just a nice, really simple formula that will give you a really cool look to your traditional. Now, if you've done an area like this where you kind of gone around the outside edge, what you can also do is selection, freehand, and select the area that you want to do. Again, this will stop you kind of overlapping. So if you kind of want to go here, you can do that. Just remember it will basically just shade within the area that you selected. There's the other option. Generally I prefer the erase kind of way, it just, for me, it just feels quicker. I mean, if you're doing a long project, you can kind of select areas, set mask and all that kind of stuff, but it's just not really needed, to be honest. Especially when it's just like a nice kind of quick bit of flash. So let's just keep this going now. And just keeping up layer by layer. And like I said, it goes a lot quicker than you realise, you know, like when you first start it feels a bit tedious, but once you kind of get the rhythm going, it does tend to just fly away. Any little mistakes you can just double click to go back. And you can usually free finger tap to go back, but sometimes Procreate doesn't like to do that. Yeah, I don't understand why. Sometimes it's just very temperamental with the free finger tap back. But let's keep going. We're almost there now. And there's an area like here where it's going to be black on black. Sometimes I like to just leave a little kind of highlight when it connects, just so you can tell the difference. I mean, I know technically it would just go black into black, but black on black will just pretty much just disappear. You don't really see it. So it just doesn't really work that way in my opinion. And I'm just going to keep using that same technique the whole way around. Like I said, you can always tell we're pretty much almost through his cape now. And then the rest of them doesn't take too long to do. And you see now that we turn the black up to the full black, you kind of see how it kind of like works around it. One thing you can do sometimes, which I might just do here, and that's I like to have the edge just a little bit softer, you know, so like just select everything and then just give like a once or two kind of wipes or so, just so you get that little faint bit of grey to it, you know, just so that it's not 100% pure white. You know, I always quite like that. Now it's going to select a few little key areas. Oops, shrink this down. So it's a little bit in the nose, the eyes there. You can completely black it out, but I like to just go down a little bit and not quite do the entire thing with it. Just a little bit maybe just around the teeth and just across the bottom bit of the jaw. Yeah, nothing too crazy. Just a little bit off the head just there maybe. I'm liking that. So now I'm just going to go for the other bits we need to do. So I'm going to select here, here. And now these parts are going to be much softer, so I'm just going to turn that transparency down a touch. Just a little bit of shade just over the knuckle areas. Just the tiniest bit on the edge of the fingers. And then the bones, again I'm just going to go around the top. And now I'm going to select the scythe.
But the customer wanted it to look a specific way.
Nothing too crazy on here. And then we get the blade. Just kind of across the bottom part, just kind of fading out across there. The same, just a little bit on the bottom side of there. Now as for the bottom of the scythe, you can shade the bottom of the scythe if you want. You know, like I don't feel like it's always necessary. In this case I think I'm just going to leave the bottom part of the scythe. Just like that. So we've got a Grim Reaper now. So now just add a little bit of colour. And the colour is really simple in this, like there's not much really, so we're just going to select the areas on the inside. So we're just going to have these nice and solid red. Might select inside the eyes and nose as well. And the cheek. Yeah, like that. And then for the actual scythe itself, again, nothing too crazy. Just going to have a little bit of a slight brownish tone. Just so it kind of stands out against his robe. And there we have it. That's how we do the Grim Reaper. So now we've done him once. Let's send him on holiday, shall we? So go back to our initial sketch now. So I'm just going to create another layer above it. I'm going to call this one Sketch 3. And I'm going to go back to Sketching tool. And so, okay, so now we want to sort of change him up. So we want to make sure that he's still holding the scythe, but we want to make sure that he's on holidays having fun. Now, to do this, we're going to add some glasses on him. So just bring a line across his eyes. Two little ones below it. Curve around the nose. Like so. Then just create a bit inside the glasses. So he's having fun. I might give him a bit of cigar, possibly. Or a cigarette. Just open that mouth a tiny little bit just to do that. And then we're going to change it up. So he's going to have his hand over here. But we're going to put a Hawaiian t-shirt over the top of him. So he's still going to have his robe underneath, but we're going to make him fun. So I'm going to shrink down that hood a little bit, so we've got room for the shirt. So we're going to shrink those two lines just here, and we're just create a line just around it. So we've got like a curve here, describe what I'm doing. And then when you got here, I'm going to create this little box shape just here. This is going to be like his collar on one side. Then a little line just here. Again this side, so I'm going to create this V shape just here. Then this line's going to curve up and create this little box shape just here. From his shoulder, I'm going to create a little line and bring this down again, just to make like a little t-shirt line just around the edge of him, just here. Quite a straight line. I'm going to go straight down here. And his shirt will go around there. I'm going to make this like a nice Hawaiian shirt as well, so it's going to have typical kind of little flowers and stuff on there. It's very classic of the Grim Reaper and Ole. And now I want this hand to be holding the scythe, but this hand I want him to hold a drink. It's just a classic way of doing it. So imagine this arm's going to go here. This arm will be here. So then we're going to create a little kind of box for the fingers. I'm going to have him holding one of those kind of cocktails. So I'm going to create a little box just here for this finger. So we've got a four this side, the one there. And then for the drink, we're going to create this kind of long tall lines just like this. Join them up at the top. Bit of an oval at the bottom. We're going to add a bit of like lime on the edge, so it's going to create this little semicircle just here. Little line coming up. circular shape, and just divide this up to make an umbrella. Like so. And now where we've done that, this part of the arm is going to now move. So we're going to create this kind of oval shape. That's now going to go here. And pretty much do the same thing I've done before, just a bit more of an angle over that way. Just like so. And then I'm just going to create a little banner. Just go around the bottom here, so like a nice kind of curve like this, like an S kind of curve bend. And then loop it around like this, just here. Then on the outside, just create this little kind of like V shape. And you can do the same on this side if you want. Just a little V shape just there. And then we're going to put not today on this. Not today. We'll make it more neater. But now we've got that, let's just bust in some really cool line work and make this Grim Reaper come to life. So we're going to duplicate that, clear that line work, black, inking, sorry, let's go back to calligraphy, monoline. There we go. So a lot of it's going to be quite similar. We're going to add the top parts. Just going to create the lines around here. So what I'm going to mainly do is just mainly add all the new kind of details, and then we can just turn the other layer on and just erase around it. Speeds up the process a little bit. Some of the bits ain't going to change, and some of the bits will. So yeah, just kind of redrawing around all these cool new little features. Yeah, I might make that little pinky actually just, yeah, like that. But I'm going to bring that in a touch. There we go. Remember little shortcuts, you know, like just the auto sort of circle in the lines. Can just save a lot of time in these kind of little aspects. Not if I'm doing it too often, but little ones like this where it's just like a really little minor things, it's like, well, it just speeds the process up. It makes it a bit easier. So just keep going over all those lines we just did. Like so. I'll just create this banner separately so it fits over the top nicely. So this banner's going to be on top, so I want to make sure this kind of fits over the top of everything. go, then we just need this little line just over here. And then I think we can turn on the other one now. What I'm going to do is turn transparency down just so you can sort of tell the difference. It's very important, so if we can't tell the difference, you're just going to rub out the same thing twice. And we don't want that. We just want to rub out the bits we no longer need. So pretty much all these lines inside the shirt we need to go. Most stuff outside the shirt though can pretty much stay. We redone this arm bit, so pretty much most of this can go. And anything within this banner bit can go here, including the scythe, because the scythe would go underneath the banner. Otherwise it'd just be going over all the text. There we go. Just go back up to the previous line as well, and just any little bits like here, just where that bit of clothing was just going over that banner bit we don't need. And don't forget, this hand needs to go, so you have to do a little bit of reconstruction just on the scythe. But this is really simple, so you basically want to raise this hand, then we're just going to connect up the lines. I think I had a thick one, that one. And then just get back to that studio pen we had, well, the technical pen rather. And just get our lines going around the outside. And lastly, just going to add the little line from the shirt just there, and the little line from the shirt just there. So now, if we turn off our sketching layer, turn this back up, and just erase those final little bits we need to get rid of. So the eyes behind the glasses. I like to get a little line just above. So the little line just there from the eye. But play around with it, sort of choose which way you kind of like it. And then any of these little kind of excess bits which just have them fully erased. Oops, so daisy. So now we've got it done, we can come in and just put any little fine details you want just to spice things up. So you're going to get a letter in, some pattern work on his shirt, and just a few other little details just around the place. So to start with, I'm going to start with the shirt. So just want to get some really basic kind of flower pattern on here. So just going to go a little circle bit, just like this, and a little line. And an easy way of doing this is if we just draw one, and then we can kind of repeat. So we can get one little flower one just there, and then you can literally just duplicate this, and we just keep moving this around roughly where we want it. And you can pretty much do any kind of flower pattern you want. you know, works on it. You can have sort of stuff as well, but in general, where it's a Hawaiian sort of style top, you generally want flowers on there. Just kind of scatter them out nice and evenly. Not too many, but not too little. It's a very fine line. Remember, you pretty much just only really want this on the shirt. So once you've got them all together, just pinch them together on your layers, and you can merge them. And then just erase any little bits you need to. Any bits kind of overlap. So this part here that overlaps, we don't want that. We don't want that bit there. Don't want that bit there. Or there. Or there. So just like that. So we've got a sense of the Hawaiian top now. I put a few little details in the drinking glass. But it's going to come down now. I'm going to get the lettering. What I like to do for this is mark a little line out. I find it easier doing sideways. This kind of motion just works easier for me. Just like this. Just so I'm going to get a rough idea of where I want my maximum height to be on my layers. And then just going to come down. I'm going to go calligraphy again on the monoline. So now we want not today. So as you go back in that layer, easy way of dividing up. So we know not 1, 2, 3. Today, T-O-D-A-Y plus 1 letter. So we've got 9 letters. So we know the middle point is going to be the fifth letter. We divide it in half. So say 5, and then you want 4 on the other side. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And this kind of gives us our first kind of spacing. So we know we kind of let us kind of fall in this kind of space around it. So we're going to get them in there now, so let's go in. You kind of write it anyhow you want, really. You know, traditionals tends to be not too kind of crazy, but just whatever you kind of feel works for you, really. I'm going to go fairly simplistic with this one. Not to D A Y. Not today. And then we take that off. Yeah, fits nicely. So any other little details, maybe like a little bit of smoke just off his cigarette. Nothing much low. And maybe just any sunglasses. And do a couple little lines. I'm just going to blacken the edge past there, I think. Just so it's that proper kind of sort of sunglasses kind of style. And then any other bits we just need to add, I need to get this part just here. Just so you've got the rest of your arm in there. And just any bits you kind of feel needed now, so I don't mind just putting another little curve just in there as it goes there. But everything else is looking quite nice. I might just add a little sun behind him possibly. I'll shrink this down. So it's like a nice little kind of circle behind him. And again, just erase any bits that kind of overlap pretty much. Yeah, I'm liking that. So let's just mix those all together. Like so. And now I'm just going to create a new shading layer. So duplicate that and clear it. And now let's start shading this one in. So a little bit of it's going to be fairly similar. I'm going to start off with that hood again. Like I said before, I'm going to kind of put it in there, and then when I kind of get to those edges, just to raise those edges, and then just rework the black over the top. Because you want that nice little kind of highlight around the edge. So that is his hood area in there. So I'm just going to go do like the main part, so you know, his like robe and stuff. Again, just going to turn that transparency down a touch, just so we can see where those lines are. Just so we can be a little bit more accurate. There we go. Just that. And then that part, and then just a little bit to the bottom. Actually, you might smell it's a bit of solid black actually. Wasn't initially going to, but I quite like how it looked when I've done that. Cool. So now let's just add any other little blacks we want. So I'm going to go just a little bit similar to what we've done in the face before. A little bit just around the teeth. He's got a sunglass on, so I can put a little bit around the glasses if you want. But like I said, just don't go too crazy with it. Now, a lot of time, less is definitely more. So now with that done, I'm going to come into the hand part just over here. Just anywhere that kind of sits behind something. So this collar bit just here, I just want a little bit behind the collar. Nothing crazy, nothing insane. Just a little bit there. I might just have a little bit just at the bottom of the robe, just here. Just in these scythe up here. And on the bottom just there. I think lastly for the black is just going to be just this part around this hand and there. Now the rest is all cool. I think so. Let's turn this up and have a look. Yep, I'm liking that. And next, I'm going to get some colour in here. So I'm going to select the obvious areas first we want. You know, we had before, so pretty much the reds, where the red classically goes. So just inside his robe, so that hasn't changed. So he's still a Grim Reaper, hasn't changed that, he's just on holiday. I'm going to select this background bit, and what I'm going to do is make my brush fairly big. I'm going to go yellow, and then I'm going to go orange, and just a tiny bit of red at the top, not much. Just get like a nice little blend going up. Just a bit of a tropical kind of vibe. And don't forget that little section we missed just here. There we go. And a bit just there we missed. Cool. So now we have that, let's colour in again, the obvious areas first. So we know we want the scythe to be the classic scythe colour. So we're going to have that little bit brown, the same way we had before. So it's like a nice light brown, nothing crazy. Just like that. And now I want to make sure this shirt's nice and contrasting. So normally, and I think I'm going to go for my usual kind of colour for this. Let's go for like a bit of a soft blue. So just put a nice base for it. Then I might just turn it up a little bit and just get a bit of a stronger one just for a few little shadows. But nothing crazy. I want this shirt nice and simple. So I'm pretty much just going anywhere we've done a little bit of black, I'm just kind of going a tiny bit further than it, just with that blue. Cool, and then I'm going to select what was a little gap just there we missed. Now I'm going to select the flowers. Just be careful because we're a bit small and fiddly. If you accidentally click on the black, you're going to select everything. But just select the outside petals for now, because that's going to be one colour, and then the inside is obviously going to be a different colour. You know, I'm thinking yellow for the inside, a little bit of blue there we need to add there as well. So I'm thinking for the flowers, I might go for a bit of pinkish kind of tone, nothing too crazy. Yeah, like that. And then the centre, I think I'm just going to go for a classic sort of like a yellow tone. And then a little bit of blue just in here. And there's a few little bits on the outside, so they've got the glasses. Them pink actually. Yeah, I like that. Kind of get creative with the glasses and colour stuff, you know, like that. You know, it's can be whatever you kind of want it to be. I like to keep my colour palette, you know, not too big low, so I tend to repeat a few of the colours. It just kind of gives a bit more kind of harmony to the image. Bit of orange in there. Just turn it down a touch. So I want to select just the edge. And let's go for yellow. Breaking my mold here, but I'm going to make it green. I want a bit of lime on it. And then just a light yellow on the inside. Right, and then lastly is this banner. The banner, I just like to have a bit of a kind of like paper kind of sort of colour to it. So nothing too crazy. And then I see nice deep reds just for the shadow on the outside part. And select it again. Just going from there and literally just on the very edge, just make sure it doesn't go too far into the lettering. Just don't want to interfere with the lettering. Just there. And then lastly, I just want to add a little bit of shadow, I think, just on this, a little bit of bone just here. And that'll do me. So there we have it, people. We've gone from Grim Reaper to Grim Reaper on holiday. I hope you like it. Check out my other stuff on The Broken Puppet, and I'll see you next time. Peace.